What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC on Fox 27 post-fight show. My name is Flying Brian J. Thank you so very much for joining me. Once again, you guys are my co-hosts. So before we recap all of the action from Charlotte, North Carolina, which culminated in Jacare Souza knocking out Derek Brunson in the first round again, my question to you is, what post-fight rating would you give this card from top to bottom? Let's start with talking about our pre-fight gradings. You, the viewers, gave the pre-fight rating at 2.75. I gave it a 2.16, and I think my post-fight rating will be right in the middle of that. I'm going to go with a 2.5. In the pre-fight show, we were talking about how we thought there might be like 5 finishes on this card, 5 to 6, and there were 5, I believe. Of course, Souza knocking out Derek Brunson, Gregor Gillespie TKOing Jordan Rinaldi, Mirsad Bektic TKOing Godofredo Pepe with a body shot, Nico Price rear naked choking George Sullivan, and the curtain jerker Corey Sandhagen TKO punches Austin Arnett. 2 of them in the second round, the other 3 in the very first round. But there were pieces of this card where I thought, fuck it, I'm going out tonight. I'm going to go do something else, because there were times in this card where they were not very exciting. So guys, what post-fight letter grade would you give this card 1 to 5? I'm going with a 2.5. Also, we said in our pre-fight show that you guys were predicting that performance bonuses would go to Coke and Pepe. Not so good there. I thought Pepe and Brunson, man, all three of our guys that we thought would get post-fight bonuses just did not do very well at all. 3 out of 5 for Hamza Aman. All right, it's pretty close to what I gave it. Fight of the night, you guys thought it was going to be the main event. That didn't happen. Fight of the night for me was Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho, and I think that is probably actually going to get the Fight of the Night bonus award. Camacho versus Dober, that was a really exciting fight. But of course, let's start talking about Ronaldo Souza versus Derek Brunson. Typical Derek Brunson fight, I suppose. He would come forward with flurries. When he would go with more than a 2-strike combination, Souza would counter with a right hook. As Dominic Cruz mentioned, Souza would switch from orthodox stance to a southpaw stance when he would back away from the combination of Brunson. He'd get the right hand on Brunson. He hurt Brunson maybe like 30 to 50 seconds before he finished him with that head kick with that right hook. Derek still just kept coming forward. Ronaldo was going with the high kicks quite a bit. He was being really patient from a distance. And he threw a high kick and it went past the glove. I mean, like, it hit the glove of Brunson. Still knocked him out. I was seeing shades of Lyoto Machida versus, oh my god, why am I blanking on this dude's name so hard? Lyoto Machida. I gotta look it up. Hold on a second. Stay with me. Once I see his name, I'm gonna be like, you're such an idiot. How did you forget that? Seeing shades of Mark Munoz. Lyoto Machida versus Mark Munoz. Went past his glove, knocked him down. He went to the fence. The coolest part about the knockout was probably Jacare just kind of like moseying on over, nonchalant, just kind of going toward him. Hit him with a few like left hook, ground and pound shots. Referee came in and stopped it. Brunson was briefly upset about the stoppage, thought it was a little early. He did have his wits about him, sort of, but he wasn't defending the left shots from Brunson against the cage. So, to me, if he's not defending those strikes, that's clearly a proper stoppage. What do you guys think? Did you like the stoppage? I thought it was good. And if you're just joining me for the first time, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel as well. And you can see that I got the comments right here, which is, I guess, a kind of cool addition. Also, we got the subscriber goal up here. Hamza Aman, do you think Brunson kept his hands a little low? I thought, Brunson, when he first came to the UFC, commentators would act like he was a prospect. But he was not a prospect. He was, how old is Brunson? Brunson's 34 years old. He's at his final stage. I don't think he's going to adapt or change his style at all. That's just how Brunson fights, with his head up, his hands kind of down. Good stoppage, yeah. Lee Wilmot, he didn't watch the fight, but the Gator versus Brunson was a bad matchup. I thought it could go this way, of course. Brunson did a really good job stuffing a takedown from Jacare early on with a whizzer, as Dominic Cruz would have us know. But I didn't see that this time Jacare would be able to knock out Brunson on the feet. I thought Brunson has gained some power. I thought Brunson was going to have the speed advantage. But Jacare was just in there kind of composed, and Brunson, he seemed like he was more patient a little bit at the very beginning, within the first like minute 30. And then he just kind of went back to his old tendencies, just kind of running at him. And it's not like I don't like Derek Brunson. I don't think that he's like good enough to be nipping at a title shot. So I was glad that Jacare kind of put him down a little bit. What up, Mike Dub? How you doing, brother? Jacare is too multifaceted. So, guys, yeah. You mean, Lee, do you mean Brunson's limited toolbox? It is his limited. He's got amazing takedown defense. He's got 100% takedown defense in his UFC career. He's 14 fights into his UFC career. Never been taken down officially. I think Yoel Romero got him down for like a brief second, but it must not have counted. But if Yoel Romero can't even keep him down for any amount of time, that's a huge feather in his cap. But yeah, his tool chest, like you say, is not that fantastic. But what's next for Jacare Souza? We thought coming in here that this was a title elimination fight where the guy that wins could get a next title shot. But the top of the division is so gummed up, we don't know when Robert Whittaker is going to return. We got an interim title fight happening in like 2 pay-per-views, right? When is that happening? I forget. I think in 2 months. No, at February 11th. So we're really close. It's a couple of weeks away. Romero versus Rockhold for the interim belt. Could Jacare get the winner of that? I mean, perhaps. But if not, if Whittaker would get the winner of that, if he could come back in time, I would say that we could give Jacare, Chris Weidman a shot. That's what I would like to go with. It'd be interesting. I like the stylistic matchup, just potential of Jacare versus Kelvin Gastelum, because I think Jacare's slowing down. His hand speed and his kicks are slower than they used to be, and Kelvin's super fast, so I would like to see that matchup. Also, Kelvin's good grappler, but it'd be fun to see if Jacare could impose his jiu-jitsu game on Kelvin. That'd be fun. But I think that right now we should give Jacare either the next title shot. I know this is like recency bias, but that or Chris Weidman. Lee Wilmot. Brunson is fun to watch, but the water is too deep. Yes, Brunson, but can't wrestle with that elite. Yeah. He's kind of too hittable. Also, what do you guys think about the chat being in the video? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Right, yeah, Lee Wilmot once. And as you can see if you're watching the video, but if you're in the podcast version, which I forgot to mention, I will upload this to SoundCloud. David Branch. Good thinking, Hamza Aman. I think David Branch, well, he was supposed to fight Rockhold, right? Was he supposed to? No, he was supposed to fight Romero. Romero got pulled from that to get the title shot. Yeah, I suppose Jacare versus Branch, but I think that Jacare would win that fight. I would pick him. Weidman's got to beat somebody, yeah. Kelvin for the Gator. So lots of options. There's just lots of options, and I'm not blaming Robert Whittaker, because sometimes, you know, like, you get mad at champions for being injured or being out too often. I mean, like, that was like a life-threatening thing that Whittaker had going on, right? So I'm not too upset about him, but it does. The UFC's middleweight division has been clogged since Michael Bisping knocked out Luke Rockhold with a left hook. And now we thought we had some semblance of order, and then the champion, Whitaker, pulls out. Chad Caldwell. Who's this Brian guy? It's me, brother. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. My name is Flying Brian J. You guys are my co-host. What did I forget to mention? I forgot to go over the UFC Pick'em for the Fight Nerds. And I forgot to mention something. I just know I did. Oh yeah. So this year I've been tracking, if you were to have bet on every single underdog at every single card, how you would come out at the end of the year. Would you be up money? Would you be down money? Well, up until this point, we were up 3.8 units. Before this card, just on the previous two events, we were up 3.8 units. But tonight, only 3 underdogs won, and we went minus 4.66 units, which is what? So we went like minus 0.86 units on the year so far. So not doing great. This card, underdogs didn't come through for us. Also, like, I'm glad you guys like the chat on the screen, but why the fuck is it pink? I gotta change that. That's not that I'm against pink. It just doesn't jive well. It's the best problem for the UFC to have the gummed up middleweight division. Oh yeah, next we're going to talk about the WTF of the card, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. Tonight I don't necessarily have any positive WTFs, but I'll have one positive WTF, but most of them are negatives. Also, I want to talk about what's next for Derek Brunson. We're kind of poo-pooing on the guy, but he's still in the top 10 right now in the middleweight division. What's next for him? About Brad Tavares. That'd be interesting because both guys have really good takedown defense, really good get-up games. So let's go with that. Derek Brunson versus Brad Tavares. Book it. Does Brad Tavares have a fight? I should have looked this up before the show, guys. I apologize. Tavares hasn't fought since he beat Talasletis on October 7th. Brunson probably needs some time off for the knockout, but I don't know. I like the idea of Tavares versus Brunson. Gastelum versus Jacare should be next. I can change the color. Huh. I like that you're silly, Chad. Brunson should fight Branch next. Okay, fine. I like that. Rob? Pink. Yeah, sorry, guys. Oh, man. I gotta move that over now that we've got too many viewers. I didn't think of that. I should have a thing that comes up that shows you when you subscribe. So Mike W subscribed just a bit ago. Should come up with a thing that says bloop bloop bloop. Mike W subscribed. Really cool. Vitor, I know that might not happen, but I want Vitor to fight Michael Bisping. Why is that coming up with pink? I don't have that as I don't have the option to change the pink, guys. That's super odd. Feely versus Jury, I like that. I like that a lot. I was thinking about that before the show. I was looking at the rankings to see what we could do. Sorry, I'll stop messing with the pink names. I'll fix that later. It really should be coming in as different colors. I don't know. Anywho, so let's talk about some WTFs of the card. While we're moving into that, I gotta ask you guys to please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. So, my number one WTF of the card is gonna go to Caitlin Chookagian for during her fight against... Shoot, we gotta pull this up. Oh my god. I gotta pull this up so I get her name right. Caitlin Chookagian in her fight against Mauro Romero Borella. she landed, let's say, 30 strikes, but she said, hut, 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 like 7 million fucking times. What the fuck, Caitlin Chukagian? And number 2 WTF of the card goes to the judges, because I thought clearly clearly Chukagian did not deserve a 30-27. I thought she lost the fight, but because of her hutting, the judges gave her the victory. So what the fuck to Caitlin Chukagian, and then what the fuck to the judges, because also Ji Yeon Kim defeated Justine Kish. I didn't think that she should have got that. Welterweight fight, Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho. I thought it was clearly 29-28 for whoever you wanted to give it to, but there was a 30-27 in there for Drew Dober. Drew Dober got taken down twice in the first round against Camacho and also dropped by an elbow. Yet on one judge's scorecard, he won the first round. What the fuck? Now, for the positive WTF of the card, this is the second time it's going out to Frank Camacho, kind of, and we're giving it to Drew Dober, though. In the post-fight, he said that, what exactly did he say? Whatever he said was basically like, you know, I didn't know who was going to get the judge's nod. I didn't know who was going to get the victory. But come on, fight fans. Didn't we just put on the fight of the night for you? We came out. We gave it all we had. We came in here to put on a show. We gave our blood, our sweat for you guys to enjoy that. And didn't you love it? And I thought it was a great post-fight interview for Drew Dober. He's a nice guy after having one of the most exciting fights of the night. So what the fuck, Drew Dober? That was awesome. Yes, congratulations, my buddy. Chad Cheeseman says the judges fucked this card up, and I agree. I truly agree. Chad Caldwell wants to know if Cormier is done after his fight with Stipe, it wouldn't be a bad send-off. I think it depends on if he wins or loses. If he wins, why not retire on that? He said this was his last year fighting. But if he loses, I think he should go back and defend the light heavyweight title again so that he could leave on a victory. So, my answer is depends. Yeah, Chad Cheeseman. Did I ever say Chad Cheeseman said the refs fucked this card up? Yes. Oh yeah, another W. Like continuing on about the judges fucking the card up. Andre Fili versus Dennis the Menace Bermudez. Bermudez like doubled up the strikes landed on Fili, but Fili had 4 takedowns, and the judges gave the victory to Fili. I didn't mind the decision too much, but Bermudez in the first round landed 35 significant strikes to 28 of Fili. Fili got 2 takedowns, but he only had 11 seconds of control time. Bermudez had 1 minute and 19 seconds of control time, but that was clinched up on the feet. Round number 2, Bermudez outlanded Fili 41 to 27. Again, Fili had 2 takedowns, only 38 seconds of control time. Bermudez had 1 minute 25 of control time on the feet. Round number 3, Bermudez outlanded Fili 49 to 31, and he had the takedown, and he had 31 more seconds of control time. It's mind-blowing. Rob Amon says that Bermudez should be cut from the roster. I don't think so. He has fun fights. He's not doing terribly lately, is he? Dennis Bermudez. He got knocked out by Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie. He is on a 3-fight losing streak. Chan Sung Jung, Darren Elkins, and Andre Fili. I felt like he won too, guys. Chad Caldwell, Hamza Aman says that they thought Bermudez won. I'm not going to cut him. If I'm the UFC, I'm giving him one more chance, and if he loses that, then we cut him. You guys want to talk about Mirsad Bektic's like overhand right to the solar plexus of Godofredo Pepe. It was a weird strike. I originally said it was a right straight, but it like came out an overhand angle right in the solar plexus of Godofredo Pepe. Put him down immediately when that thing landed. Godofredo, his face went, oh, and he wilted. But speaking of people, no, that's not who I mean. No, Godofredo, how's he doing lately? Godofredo's on a 2-fight losing streak. That was an amazing moment for Mirsad Bektic. It was like a long time ago that it was March 4th of 2017 when he got knocked out by Darren Elkins. He took a lot of time off. He said he wanted to take that time off to recover and get better and better. And evidently, Dominic Cruz, Mirsad used to train at Alliance or something, and Dominic Cruz must have criticized his striking ability. And in the post-fight, which the post-fight interview was kind of awkward for Mirsad, but Mirsad said that his striking has gotten better and he's been working on it really hard, and I think that is pretty damn evident. If you can finish a guy as... I mean, Godofredo's pretty durable. Finish a guy as durable and as fun to watch as Godofredo with a body shot like that, an overhand to the solar plexus, which is a weird strike in itself. I think that says a lot about how he's improved. Mirsad should get somebody like... Who did I say should be next for him? I don't know who is next for Mirsad Bektic. He said that he wants to move up in the rankings. He wants to take on a contender, you know, like somebody in the top 15 next. And who should it be? He is number 15. I think Dennis Bermudez, coming off this loss, should not get to fight Bektic. But how about... Oh, man. This would be... Thanks, Rodrigo, for hanging out. Man, I know this would be killing like two up-and-comers, two young, hungry guys, but how fun would Yair Rodriguez versus Mirsad Bektic be? I think Bektic probably wins because he's got better grappling, but Rodriguez is he's a lot higher on the rankings. Or no, that's what I want. Or Renato Moicano, perhaps, I guess. But I like that. And I had an idea for a really good fight. Who was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Gregor Gillespie versus Jordan Rinaldi. So Gregor got in on a single leg early against Rinaldi, and Rinaldi did a good job of limp-legging out, being slippery, getting the single leg out. But shortly thereafter, Gregor was just pursuing, throwing big leather. He got in tight on Rinaldi, got the single leg up, got Rinaldi to the ground, and once the fight hit the ground... Gregor just ran train on Jordan Rinaldi. He got mount, then Rinaldi had to give up his back. Gregor got the deep hooks in, got the underhooks under his arm, flattened him completely out, and ground and pounded him into smithereens. And Gregor said he's not going to call somebody out. He's not going to be the company guy like that. He said somebody else can be that guy for you. And he said that he just wants like a top 15 guy next. And I propose that we give Gregor Gillespie to Benyel Dariush. I like that matchup. I think it's a solid stylistic matchup. I would be interested to see if Gregor could manhandle Benyel on the ground like he did this fight tonight. Chad, I am kind of in the podcast game. I turned this show into a podcast, so not really. If I can take a second to answer this question a little more in depth, when I started in trying to be what I kind of am now in the mixed martial arts world, I don't want to call myself a journalist or a personality. When I tried doing whatever I am doing, I started with a podcast because I was going to school for broadcast journalism, focusing on radio, and I was scared to show my face on camera. I quickly learned that the MMA podcast world is full of, it's like oversaturated, like the UFC kind of is right now. So I switched and focused on videos. So I don't do a podcast, just like purely a podcast anymore, but I do turn this into a podcast. It's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Google Play. It's everywhere. Ricardo Lamas for... Oh, I know what running a train. It means the same thing here, Will. I'm just saying, like, he really, really gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? I think Gillespie versus Benyel Dariush. I really like that fight. I really do. Or maybe Michael Chiesa. But I like the idea of Gregor versus Benny. Maybe Evan Dunham on the cusp. I would like to see him versus Kevin Lee, but they're probably not going to shoot him to the top that fast. But Michael Chiesa or Benyal Dariush, I think would be great for Gregor next. I don't know how to say your name. XRH Stos, 2 out of 5 overall card. Impressed by Gregor Gillespie. I think he has a bright future. We're talking about him right now. Thanks, Chad. Yeah, thanks, Chad. You guys are like 30 seconds behind me, and that's one negative thing about how I'm doing this on YouTube. Just saying. Like, back to the podcast thing. I could do a podcast talking about every single fight on the card and get like 100 views. I could do a video talk about one fight and get 500 views. And I'm not just a click whore, but like you put in hours of work, you want to kind of like reap the benefits. So video is where it's at for me. Plus I'm decent at it, I think. Gregor versus Habib? Oh no, Khabilov. Oh, I thought you said Nurmagomedov. Versus Khabilov? No. I'm going to push Gregor into the top 15. I just want to get him into the top 15. He's cutting through these not ranked guys like butter. I like my options. Chiesa, Dariush, solid. Again, if you haven't already, thumb this video up, guys. Please. And thank you. Moving on down. So Gregor was super impressive. Plenty of potential matchups for him. Gregor versus Marcin Held? Fuck that, man. Held is like 1-4 in the UFC. No. Gregor's undefeated and just murking fools. Anyway, sorry, Rob. I mean, I don't know. Moving down, welterweight fight, Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho. This was a fun fight. I thought coming in that Dober would have the wrestling advantage, but Camacho took Dober down on multiple occasions. Didn't do much with it. Dober did a good job of muscling his way back to the feet, but I was shocked that Camacho was the guy that wanted to do that. The reason really why Dober got this victory, I think, was because after the first round, Camacho started to gas a little bit, especially in the second round. Camacho didn't have nearly as much gas in his tank as Dober did, but a lot of the fight, as I predicted, took place. Saying inside the phone booth is too cliche, and I need to move on from that, but they fought in tight spaces. They fought in a changing room. They fought really close together, throwing hooks at each other's head for a lot of the fight. Camacho, I had no idea he had kind of a judo background. And when they would get in tight and they would clinch, Camacho was doing good hip tosses on Dober to get into the ground. But as I mentioned, Dober got back to his feet really quickly. But what I liked and why I think the fight deserves to be called Fight of the Night was these guys, they got in that tight spacing that I was mentioning, and they just threw big bungalows. They threw some haymakers at each other. They showed a lot of durability. They showed a minimum defense. So hooks in tight, good chins, and minimal defense makes for a fun fight to watch every single time. I really loved it. Also, if you were here with me in the pre-fight, or if you watched my 3 most excited fights for UFC on Fox 27, Drew Dober's from Nebraska, and I'm from Nebraska, and there's not much that happens in this state. So when something like Drew Dober in the UFC on a main card happens, you got to cheer for him and you have to be happy about it. So big win for Drew Dober. I think really the judges could have gone either way. Yeah, Hamza Aman is mentioning how Dober's kind of small for 155. And the funny thing is this fight took place at welterweight because Dober cuts a lot of weight. Last time he was in California or something, they didn't want him to cut as much weight as he was doing, and Camacho missed weight in his last fight. So this took place at welterweight, but it was between a couple of welterweights. So without cutting that much weight, I'm also wondering why Camacho gassed out so hard, right? It's very interesting to me. Losing viewership. It's cool because you guys could always listen to the podcast version on iTunes or whatever later on. Let's move on to the preliminary card, which one thing I want to mention before we move to the prelims is I'm very excited to see the numbers from this Fox card? Like, how many people watched it? Because there weren't many big names on it, and there was no hype. Bloody Elbow tweet, or somebody from Bloody Elbow tweeted that there were literally no comments on their staff picks article, and that he said that was the first time that's ever happened since he's worked there. So nobody cared about this fight card, but it was on regular Fox, which should garner more attention than a FS1 card, because you can get it with just a pair of bunny ears. So I'm very interested in that. As we move down to the prelim portion, lightweight fight, Bobby King Green defeated Eric Koch, unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Rob Amon is saying that Koch should be near getting cut, and he's only on a 2-fight losing streak, I believe. But his performances have not been, his last 2 performances were not inspiring. When he beat Shane Campbell, sorry, running back to Dober versus Camacho, it did take place in the welterweight division. I don't know why UFC's website says something different. Their website's sometimes not that good. But Eric Koch is on a 2-fight losing streak, and both of those he did not look that impressive. Against Shane Campbell, he looked good, but Shane Campbell doesn't have much of a ground game. Yeah, I think that one more fight for Eric Koch, and if he loses that, he's definitely gone. Bobby Green had not won a fight in his last 4, so if he would have lost, he was probably gone. So he saved his time in the UFC, and he looked good. He had the more varied skill set. He was the guy that adapted more. He switched stances between rounds to fudge up Eric Koch's attack or his game plan. And Koch, I thought, would be the guy that had the advantage on the ground, but no, it was Bobby Green. Even when Koch almost had Green's back one time, Green held on to one of his legs and was able to reverse position really well. It was a fun scramble. That was a fun fight, and in my opinion, it was the second most exciting fight of the night. Bobby Green putting on a pretty good performance there. What's next for Bobby Green? I don't know. They're in the division, this weight class, 155 pounds. That's the most stacked class or weight division in all of mixed martial arts, and I think that he's not going to get a top 15 guy yet next, and I don't really feel like looking up maybe Evan Dunham. Has he fought Evan Dunham? If he gets a top 15 guy, it should be Evan Dunham. Bobby Green versus Evan Dunham. Let's do it. I wouldn't say he looked great. Bobby Green. Hamza Aman says that Bobby Green looked great. He looked good. I was more disappointed in Eric Koch. Rob Amon wants everyone to be cut or retire. Man, what's up, Rob? David Tamer? That'd be a really fun fight. Both guys are pretty good strikers. Tamer's got solid takedown defense, quick hips. Bobby Green showed some wrestling tonight. I like it. And Rob says Green versus Guida. No, Guida moved down to... Oh, yeah. Wait a second. Wait 1 second here. Clay Guida. Sorry, guys. Dead air. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Guida versus Bobby Green. I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. Sounds fine to me. David Tamer or Guida would be fine for me. What's up, a whole bunch of brand new viewers? How are you guys doing this evening? We're just going over this entire fight card. We're giving our post-fight letter grade. So what would you guys give your post-fight letter grade? We're going to get to our bonuses soon. One thing about this... oh, we've been going for 33 minutes already. Wow, guys. Let's run over some results, and then let's get to our post-fight bonuses. I don't think there's too much more that we need to talk about, is there? Bobby Green, yeah. Okay, Mirsad Bektic. We kind of went over him versus Scott Alfredo already, and what's next for Mirsad. Caitlin Chukagian versus Mara Romero Barella. Chukagian won unanimous decision. The fight sucked. Miranda Marcos defeated Juliana Lima in a terribly boring fight. Marcos won 30-27 across the board. Women's flyweight fight, Ji Yeon Kim defeated Justine Kish via split decision. Not a very exciting fight. Vince from Hell Pichel versus Joaquim Silva. Vince won. It was not a very exciting fight. Before that, welterweight fight, Nico Price versus George Sullivan. Nico basically was better in all areas of this fight. He hit harder. He had the more diversity on the feet. He had better use of range. He got the fight to the ground, and he kind of just flowed all over George. He was holding George down. George went to pop to his feet. Nico sunk the arm under the chin, rear naked choke. Got him out of there. First fight of the night, Corey Sandhagen versus Austin Arnett. Let's talk about this one for a bit. Austin Arnett trains with Rick Little at Sick Jitsu, and those guys, Rick Little has famously said that he thinks that anybody who gets hurt by a body shot is a pussy, and he doesn't let his fighters block body shots in practice. Rick Little also doesn't believe that altitude should affect a fighter's performance. Rick Little's a fucking idiot, and Austin Arnett trains under him, so we didn't expect too much from Austin Arnett in this fight. So I don't know how I can gauge how impressive Corey Sandhagen's performance over Arnett was, where he got the TKO at 3:48 of round number 2. But Sandhagen used a lot of varied timing. He used a lot of lateral movement, and he manipulated spacing really well. He was flowy. He was loose. His punches came with a lot of snap to them, even though he looked like he was a guy that didn't hit that hard. I was really impressed by Corey Sandhagen in his UFC debut here. And it's his second victory in 8 days. So you get a huge victory, a first round knockout just last week, and then you come in UFC on your UFC debut and get a TKO in the second round. That's impressive. I don't know what's next for him, but I would like to have a better measuring stick for Sandhagen. I'm excited to watch him next. Corey versus Austin was a fun fight. Yes, it was, but mostly because Sandhagen, like I said, was loose. I like watching when fighters are loose. Dominic Cruz mentioned it quite a bit. This card had Joaquim Neto BJJ, who's a striker, and Juliana Jutai Lima, who is a grappler. Says Rodrigo Rojas. Yeah, that is funny. That could be a WTF for the card right there, huh? Let's go over our post-fight bonuses. Quickly, let me see if I can pull up the official post-fight bonuses, and then we might be able to go over and we might be able to watch the post-fight press conference. Let's see. Post-fight bonuses go to... Oh, wait. I don't want to see it. I just pulled it up, but I don't want to see it yet. My personal post-fight bonuses are going to go to Ronaldo Jacare Souza for his first-round finish of Derek Brunson. $50,000 goes to him. My second post-fight bonus is going to go to Mirsad Bektic. He's going to get an extra $50K for his TKO body punch to Godofredo Pepe in the first round. My fight of the night is obviously going to Drew Dober versus Frank the Crank Camacho. And because I'm not actually giving anybody any money at all, not even fucking Monopoly money, I'm just talking on a video podcast, my third performance bonus is going to go to Corey Sandhagen. Not Nico. Well, no. Taking it back. Nico Price. Here's a WTF of the card that we could have missed. This guy's 28 years old and has 4 children. What the fuck? He probably needs money for diapers. He got a big victory. Give Nico Price $50,000. Now let's go to the Twitter machine and see the real post-fight bonuses. Performance bonuses go to Mirsad Bektic and Jacare Souza. And fight of the night went to Drew Dober versus Frank the Crank Camacho. Hamza Aman gave performance bonuses to Bektic and Gillespie. Gillespie didn't get one. Bektic got it. I think that pretty much does it for the card. That pretty much does it. I don't think there's anything. What else do you guys want to talk about? I can hang out for a bit. I forgot to mention, that's what I forgot to mention. That there was a time at the beginning of the show when I'm like, what did I forget to mention? It is that I'm stoked that right now we would be like two fights would be done on a normal main card portion at this time of the night. But the fights have been over for like an hour almost, right? And I love that so very much. It is 10:08 my time. The fights are over. We're almost done with the post-fight show. And I've got a lot of night left to do. My fiance went to her parents' house for the weekend, and I kind of made the apartment messy. So what I really have to do after this is clean my apartment. So that kind of sucks. But I'm happy that I'm not going to be up until like 3 a.m. Downloading this video and re-uploading it as a podcast. I'm pretty stoked about that. So what else do you guys want to talk about? If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That would help me out a whole bunch, Rooney. Whole bunch of Rooney Dooney. But if we don't have anything else to talk about, I will be back next week to discuss how excited I am for UFC Fight Night 125, headlined by Lyoto the Dragon Machida versus Eric Anders. Co-main event is John the Magician Dodson versus Pedro Munoz. Yes, I like that co-main event. I do not like the main event because I think Lyoto Machida is going to get squashed by a relatively unknown guy. And I'm also looking forward to watching Valentina Shevchenko fight for the first time in the UFC's women's flyweight division, because I think that the UFC's women's flyweight division needs like a... Not that Nico Montano isn't a real champion, but like, does anybody believe that she's the best fighter in the division? No. So, we also got Thiago Santos versus Anthony Lionheart-Smith. Oh, that's going to be a barn burner. Michelle Prazeres versus Desmond Green. Sergio Moraes versus Tim Means. I think Tim Means could get back on the winning track. Alan Patrick versus Damir Hadzovic. This fight card's looking to me better than tonight's was. It's happening next Saturday. Jacare versus Gastelum. It could be a decent main event, but I say instead we put it on a pay-per-view card, because lately pay-per-view cards have been like main event title fight and then like a bunch of just nothing. Chad Cheeseman says Machida is washed up. He's very washed up. My beer pairing video, which I'll probably edit tomorrow for this fight card, it's a beer called Old Soul. And the reason why I'm pairing it with that is because, you know, Machida is old and a little bit washed up, as you mentioned, Chad. Do I think Jacare could be champion? He's already lost to Yoel Romero, who lost to... He lost to Yoel Romero, and he also lost... I thought he beat Romero, though. I remember scoring the fight for Jacare. And he also lost via TKO to Whitaker. So, could he be champion? It all depends on how long Whitaker sits out, and if Whitaker recovers from his terrible injury thing. So, I'm going to say not really. I think he could beat Rockhold, but I don't know. I don't think he can beat Whitaker. You mean like want a main event, Rodrigo? Or at all? Or at all? Like, Rodrigo is saying that this is the first time in 2018 that a Brazilian won a fight. I find that's crazy. Okay, no victors from Brazil there. Okay, looking at the last two cards. No, wow, yes. That was the first time that a Brazilian won a fight in the UFC in 2018. That is insane. It's really crazy to me. Will Nate Diaz come back? Yeah, probably, but only to fight Conor McGregor. I would really like to see Nate Diaz versus Eddie Alvarez. How fun would that be? I would love that so very much. I'd really like to watch Nate Diaz versus Eddie Alvarez. The winner can get a second shot at, well, Conor McGregor. No, I don't know what we're going to do with Conor McGregor. But yeah, I think he'll come back. Dana White says he's looking to get him some more money or whatever to make him come back. The UFC desperately needs stars. Diaz got the rub from Conor McGregor. He's a star now. So I think yes. What do you think? Hamza, do you think that 1-9 this year, Brazilians? That is not good. Diaz versus Alvarez would be so gosh darn fun, you guys. So next week we got Lyoto versus Eric Anders. Then the week after that we've got Yoel, the Soldier of God, Romero versus Luke Rockhold in the main event. Co-main event is Mark Hunt versus Curtis Razor Blades. Good stuff. Then we got Tai Tuivasa versus Cyril Asker as the third from the top. That's fucking awful. That is awful. That's not a good pay-per-view. It's just not. And if they try to give it like $65 again, I don't like that at all. I don't want to pay $65 for UFC 221. God. And I do get reimbursed by MMA Mania for paying for the pay-per-views, but then I have to write them off my taxes at the end of the year, and it's a real pain in the ass. Is it his last fight in his contract, Rob? If it is. Oh, yeah, I could start thinking about my next video, which will be like the top 3 fights to watch at UFC Fight Night 125, and it might end up being the top 3. Shoot. What's going to be my actually, top 3 for me are going to be Lyoto Machida versus Eric Anders, John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz, and then Thiago Santos versus Anthony Lionheart Smith. Yes. Those are my top 3. Honorable mention is going to go to maybe Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Marlon Chito Vera. That or Valentina Shevchenko versus Priscilla Cochiera, but I don't know anything about Priscilla. So that would basically just be for Valentina Shevchenko. But I'm excited to make that video. They're going to be a lot of fun to do. Am I frozen? No, I'm just not moving my head much. Yippity-doo-dah. Well, how long have we been here, guys? Yeah, about 50 minutes. I think I'm going to wrap it up. You guys could like my Facebook page at Flying Brian Show. Send me a DM on that page, and I will talk to you whenever I can. Or on Twitter, follow me there. Be sure to say, hey man, I watched the post-fight show, or just follow me back. I'll talk to you in the DM on Twitter as well, as much as I can. I'm a busy guy. I got a day job, and this is like my part-time job, but I'll do as much as I can. I too am very excited about the TV contracts, Rob. That's something we could have mentioned during the meat of this post-fight show, so we'll talk about this before we leave. I guess I talked about the ratings. I'm interested to see the ratings on UFC on Fox 27, and because the UFC is currently negotiating a new contract deal for the TV, right? And of course Fox is the #1 runner, but it seemed like because they're in negotiations, the UFC just kind of gave them this. I'm not poo-pooing on the fight card too much, but it was kind of a shitty Fox card. Normally they give them big title fights or big names or something like that, but tonight wasn't that good. So I'd like to know the behind-the-scenes thinking of why the UFC did that, why they gave them this shitty card. How are the negotiations going with Fox, and what are they going to do? Are we going to have some Thursday night Fight Pass exclusive fight cards with just 4 to 6 fights on it? You know that Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series was a little bit to dip their feet into the water of putting fight cards, short fight cards, just main card cards. Jesus, Brian. On Fight Pass, in the middle of the week to see what kind of viewership they could get. And I personally loved them because the pacing was like this, you know. Who doesn't love pacing like that? I gotta go delete the original video that we were doing that didn't have sound. Anyway, so that's basically, I don't have any more thoughts on the TV deal. I would like for UFC to reach an agreement with Fox. I like what they got going on there, but I want them to increase their streaming on Fight Pass. Rob Amon says that he wants the UFC to partner with HBO or Showtime and cut back on pay-per-view cards. That's a fantastic idea, Rob. I hate that there's one pay-per-view per month. So basically, what do I have to do? I have to allot like $720 a year to watch UFC. And if they move the pay-per-view price up to $65 a card, so. And also they have been having 13 pay-per-views a year, because sometimes they do 2 in 1 month. So 13 times 65, $845 a year I pay to watch UFC pay-per-views, on top of, so I got to add $120 to that because I pay for Fight Pass, so plus $120. I pay $965 a year to watch UFC. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, quarterly pay-per-views instead. That's fucking nuts. $965 a year to watch the UFC. Wow. And if you're just Joe Blow, could you imagine trying to watch every single UFC pay-per-view if you like, and legally, if you had like a regular job? I mean, like, I don't have a great job, but what if I was 20 years old and I'm delivering furniture for a living? Wow. Like, I could not afford that. I could not afford $965 a year just to watch the UFC. That's crazy town. We gotta cut back on that. Anyway, guys, I think that we've covered enough. In short, UFC on Fox 27 was an average, or maybe even slightly below average fight card. It had some moments, it had some good times, it had some bad times. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad it's over early. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me for like an hour or whatever. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to me, and mostly it would mean a lot to my bosses. But I'll be back here on this channel next Saturday to do the pre-fight show for UFC Fight Night 125, or hashtag UFC Belam. I don't know. But until then, guys, have a safe night. If you're going to go out now, you got a lot of time. If you drink, don't drive. And just have a great week, guys. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Namaste. I got to wrap up the endings quicker. Isn't it kind of awkward how I take too much time to say goodbye? I'm terrible at goodbyes. You know, it's like, oh, well, time to go now. And you kind of stand around with your hands on your hips. Sometimes, if I'm at a party or I'm hanging out with my friends, I'll just give them the old Irish goodbye. They're not paying attention. I just slip out, and then they'll text me like, hey, man, you leave? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm home. In my pajamas now. I'm quick like that. Anyway, later, guys.